All right, this is Noah Volz, and you're watching DC to Be Revolution, where students think big to live large. So today I have a rare opportunity to talk to Dr. Jon Baker about all the work that he's been doing with New Beginnings and really helping chiropractors to recognize their dreams. So thanks, Dr. Baker, for being here.
Thank you for having me. I hope I can help.
Yeah, looking forward to talking to you. So the first question that I have for you is about mistakes. I feel like we all make mistakes, and you've probably seen a lot of students making mistakes. What's the biggest mistake that you see students making that's stopping them from becoming millionaires?
You know, no, I'm not convinced students are making mistakes. I could pick a lot of things, and I will. I think the biggest thing is not being around millionaires, not being around people who are helping thousands and thousands of people, not being around doctors who have opened multiple clinics and helped thousands and thousands of people. It's easy for an old guy. I practiced for just under 30 years. It's so easy to say, yeah, biggest thing is no work ethic. You know, as I show up in my sweatshirt and my ball cap, because I've been out herding cattle today. but the real thing is I don't think you're making mistakes. If you ask for a couple things that really stand out, I would tell you, try to get through school with your degree with the least amount of student loans. Why? Because we've watched students in the last 15 years go from 80,000 in student loans to we've had over 15 interviews in the last 6 months with students over 280,000 in student loans. Now, to get to your question, would I spend $280,000 for a chiropractic education and degree, knowing full well that I've made millions of dollars? Absolutely. The problem is, and I hate to indicate the problem without a shadow of a doubt, the problem is chiropractic students, are graduating with 3 legs on their 4-leg chair. You guys and gals have great science, great philosophy, great art, but nobody's teaching you business. And the people who are teaching you business, here's my question. And I'm not being arrogant. I'm just going to tell you how it is. Have you collected over $200,000 in a month in a cash practice doing just chiropractic? If you have, I want to hang out with you. So the biggest mistake, I think, is not getting around the right people, which means you're around the wrong people. We both know when we're kids, our parents say, hang out with the bad kid, you become the bad kid. What they forgot to tell us is hang out with the champion, you become the champion. And there's a lot of great chiropractors out there that would take young students and they tell you, hey, Noah, you got that little facial hair, that's cool. But when you get in practice, shave that off. People are averse to facial hair. And I can go down the list for hours. I know that's not what you're looking for. But the biggest thing would be the reverse of what your parents told you. And that is find people who are hugely successful doing what you want to do. And don't let go of them until you got other secrets.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. I've always heard that you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So naturally, if you're spending time with millionaires, then you're going to be the average of them and you're going to be highly successful. And I also completely agree that the amount of debt that students are in when they get out of school, they're mortgaging their future. I mean, it's like buying a house, but all you have is an education. And so I'm so glad you brought up those points. I think those are really important. The next question that I have for you is, the people who are really successful, I feel like have a lot of ambition. But even if you have a lot of ambition, you may have some trouble really executing on that ambition. And so I'm wondering if you've experienced that and what you've coached people to do in order to be better at executing.
Well, I think without a shadow of a doubt, it's almost the same question. I hope I heard it correctly. And that is, we're in a service industry, you and I, and all the chiropractors and DCs to be, we're in a service industry, and we have to know that people go where people like to go. It's a weird thing, but a guy or a gal can graduate 4 something and fail out of practice before they ever get started. Another guy can go through school playing rugby, having a great time, but have a burning ambition and passion. And the first thing I did is I searched out across California for what I thought was the most ethical, similar technique, highest volume, successful chiropractor. And I got to tell you, I camped out at his doorstep for 2 weeks until he hired me. You know, I didn't know. I showed up with a little fuzz. He didn't have fuzz. I shaved it off. I showed up with a colored shirt. He wore white. I put a white shirt on. He wore a tie every day. I put a tie on. Next thing you know, I just mimicked him. I mirrored him, and I wouldn't leave. So I had the ambition, but I had no knowledge of how to take care of a patient other than what I learned in school. And I got to tell you, I had a great education, but it didn't teach me how to take care of people, how to run a business, how to set goals. I mean, all the things that, quite frankly, we teach to our clients, and why we always, for the DCs to be, we've never ever charged a student, nor do we take students in as clients. We try to get you in with your ambition matched to somebody similar to you that's highly successful, and work under him or her for a year or two. Now you're ready to go. So again, hang out with winners, be a winner. Hang out with whiners, you figure out the rest of the sentence.
I so appreciate that your particular style and how you match people together. I feel like mentorship is probably the best way that we learn. And back in the day, there probably was apprenticeships, and that was the main way that we learned. But now we're in this industrialized school complex, and so we have to pass all our boards and do all this other stuff. But really, it seems like the learning takes place when a master takes you under their wing and really helps guide you through that process. So thanks for bringing that to light. The next question that I have is about priorities. And, you've already mentioned so many things to prioritize in terms of the communication, in terms of surrounding yourself with great people. I wonder if there's any kind of daily habits or daily activities that you use every day to make sure that you're right on track and reaching towards the goals that are most important to you.
Absolutely, I do know. Every morning I'm very thankful. I'm that guy who wakes up with a big smile between 4 and 4:15 every morning. I thank God for the gorgeous woman next to me who's my wife, the mother of my children, the grandmother of my grandbabies. I thank God every day for all my blessings. But I got to tell you, as I'm preparing to go into the arena, I put my cape on. And what I mean by that is I go to practice. I don't bring a cell phone. I don't have any connection to anything other than my patients. And so when I put that tie at the last tight, now I'm no longer John. I'm Super John. What I am is I'm Dr. Baker. And that's all I am. And at 12:15, when my shift ends, the first thing I do is I loosen my cape. And now I'm John again. So being where you're at is an unbelievable act of discipline. But it's what all successful people I've ever interviewed always say. You've got to be where you're at. You've got to be where you're at. So when I'm driving to work, I don't finally tighten my tie, because when I'm driving, I'm still driving. But the moment I park in that parking lot, up it goes. Now it's Dr. Baker, who's got to be excellent in everything he does. I loosen it up. I'm John. I'm out herding cattle. It's no big deal. I'm unshaven today. Why? Because I coach. After 30 years of practice, I decided I'm hell-bent, pardon it, but I'm hell-bent on saving the profession. And this interview is one of the best I've ever had from anybody, because you're asking questions that make a difference. You don't ask about technique. Don't ask about philosophy. Your schools teach you that. You know what you got to do? You got to learn how to run a business. So you hang around business people and do what business people do. Now, you've got to be symbiotic in your relationship. My very first, I visited 101 offices before I interned with Dr. Pack. 101 offices, but he was the man. I asked everybody around town. His name came up 6 times more than anybody else, and I hounded him state. What did he tell me to do? He said, "You're 25 years old. You look like a kid. Look like me." And I go, "You're 65. He goes, "Exactly. Walk like me." I go, "Sort of bent over?" He says, "Yes." "Talk like me." Empowered? I'm not empowered. I'm 25 years old. And obviously that was a long, long time ago. But what I did is I was always exactly where I was at. And the moment I left practice, I still washed my car in my suit. What I mean by that is I always represented myself, my family, my clinic, all of chiropractic, and then further yet, all of God's children. Does that mean I didn't make mistakes? No. Did I make mistakes? Absolutely. But I didn't make them twice. Be exactly where you're at is the greatest discipline, secondary to being thankful for all the blessings you have. I promise you it'll change your life.
Yeah, I personally also have like a gratitude practice that I do every morning, and it's so helpful for me because it feels like it keeps me focused on the things that are really right in my life. And yeah, naturally there's always room for growth, and I'm always coming up against growing edges. But that gratitude practice I think is so important, and I think that is what also allows me to do interviews with amazing people like you, or, also to shadow offices that are the best of the best in the particular areas where I find myself. So thank you for sharing your daily practice as well. The next question I have for you is about persuasive communication, and I kind of call it buy-in. So I'm wondering if you have any tools or techniques that you find yourself using with your staff or with your patients or with the doctors that you're coaching to help them become more persuasive in their communication, to get more buy-in from their patients.
I think that's an excellent question. You and I could probably talk on that for about 8 hours, but to simplify it, everybody has a different energy level. Everybody has a different knowledge level. So what I do when I try to communicate with people, which is a little different now because I'm talking into a computer, but I see your energy, I see your face, I can feel your energy. You're going to be awesome at whatever you do, and hopefully I can help you do that. But to get back to that, one of the things that really seems to stand out the most is you've got to not judge people, but observe their energy. I'm going to tell you your energy is a real good 7. Now, if you and I were in person, I got a feeling you'd be a 9. So if you're a 7, I've got to be a 9. But if you're a 7 and I'm a 10, the gap's too far. And oftentimes we run into that person who their energy is more like a 3 or a 4. And if we talk to them like a 10, they're not going to hear a word we say. So what we've got to do with a 3 or 4 is we've got to be a 5 or a 6, because they never buy the message until first they buy the messenger. And if the gap is too big, nobody buys what you're selling. Obviously, when you're communicating, don't talk about stuff you don't know. When I go to big meetings and I hear 10 chiropractors up saying success, 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 I say, what was your tax return last year? And people don't like my honesty, but here's the bottom line. Don't tell me you're seeing a lot of people when you're wearing a JCPenney suit and you're driving a 16-year-old car and you're not making your alimony payments. And I know that's harsh, but what I'm trying to say is walk the talk, be honest. Know that every moment of your life, somebody's watching. And for me, he's looking down on me, so I got to look up to him. So I'm always making sure my words are honest. I'm always making sure my connection is close. Now, if a 2 says, Dr. Baker, how long will my back hurt? And I answer as a 2, well, gosh, it'll probably take a couple months. I'm not helping him. Again, if I go, are you kidding me? This is going to be awesome. You're going to feel better than you ever have. I'm going to scare him. So a 2 says, Dr. Baker, is my back pain ever going to go away? I've got to look him right in the eyes and say, your body has an amazing ability to heal. And your body's going to do what's right. And I promise you, our doctors will do what's right. So if you do what we tell you and don't do what we tell you not to, I promise you, your body's going to do what it's going to do. And I find that to be the most important is I'm never judging somebody's energy because mine fluctuates all the time. So I've got to read it. So I talk to a 2 as a 4. I talk to a 6 as 8. I talk to a 10 as a 12. I have a doctor in the San Francisco area. I tell her she's a 16. Which almost catches me on fire to be an 18 to communicate to her, but I've never met such an energetic person. Even when she's down, she's like, you're not going to believe what happened today. And I go, what happened? And I've got to be able to lead by example so that I can follow by choice. Observe people's energy, try to go up 2 notches above. When a person goes to a doctor, they're not looking for a friend, they're not looking for a pal, they're looking for direction. People don't take direction from people on the same energy. They certainly don't take it from below, but they don't take it from way above. Be 2 notches above and you'll communicate so much better with people. It'll blow you away. And you know what the best place to start? For us married guys, at home with mama. I promise. It's awesome.
Well, I love that. I love how you speak to really tuning in to where that person is and finding a harmonic resonance that's slightly above there, so they can really be inspired by you and really look up to you and really create a healthy doctor-patient relationship where they're going to feel motivated and empowered and responsible for their actions and really take the steps that's necessary. And I can already see just from that conversation that my energy went way up just from you hearing you talk about how important that is. So thank you so much. That just changed my entire state. The last question I have for you today is about entrepreneurship, and I think you kind of mentioned it with that four-legged stool about how so many chiropractors really focus on the science and the art, but very few of them focus on being an entrepreneur and being a really successful business person. So what do you feel like chiropractors can learn from other entrepreneurs in order to be more efficient?
Well, when I hear entrepreneur, and I'm very fortunate because after years of practice, I've opened other businesses. I developed real estate. I've built shopping centers. I have ranches. I've been very, very blessed on this earth by hanging around people wiser, smarter, and better than me, and then doing what they do as long as it feels good in my heart. And lots of times I have to tell my brain I do things with my heart's approval, whether my brain jumps in or not. So when I think about that, one of the things that really stands out is to me is I'm not so much sure that we're entrepreneurs, and I almost knock that down. I'd like to turn it into the term we're business people, and here's why. We're not really bringing a new product to the market. We're bringing, and then that is the problem with chiropractic. People do just chiropractic, and then all of a sudden they can't make it, so they start adding things. When I was a little boy, my grandpa said the eagle that chases two rabbits goes back to the nest hungry. Be great at one thing. And I got to tell you, detection and correction of subluxation was the one thing. The business part, because I think the entrepreneurial part's weird. I mean, pick up a chiropractic magazine. See how many times taking care of a patient is mentioned without a product. I think chiropractic, I thought it meant with hands only if I broke it down. It seemed like that. Now, can we do other things? Absolutely. I would suggest that the one thing we do from a business aspect as chiropractors and chiropractors to be is think real hard about what your patient care outcome is about. Watch. Patient comes to you when you're in practice and says, my neck hurts. You do a great job with your hands or with apparatus or heat or ice or banana chips, I don't care, and the pain goes away. No, where's the patient usually go if the pain goes away?
They go back home. They don't come back.
They go away. Now watch this. You do a great job, but because you didn't find out all the underlying problems, the pain doesn't go away. Where's the patient go?
But they stay there.
They go away. So in a weird model, if you're saying I want to make people feel better, there's nothing wrong with it. But in that model, if they feel better, they leave you. If they don't, they leave you. So here's a closing thought, and I'll talk all day if you want because I love your energy and I love your questions. But what if we told people a different truth, and that is you come in and you're a young, healthy man, and you say my neck hurts, and I evaluate you. But because I matched your energy and brought it up, you felt safe. And you said to me, Dr. Baker, this has really been going on since I was 9 and I fell off a ladder. And I go, my gosh, you're 29 years old. That's 20 years. And I dig in and maybe on the x-ray, I see some decreased or diminished disc height. So the disc is worn out. It's not coming back. So instead of telling you I'm going to make your neck feel better, what if I told you the truth? Noah, the misalignment has been grinding for 20 years and wearing down the disc. That's affecting the nerves. It's affecting your arms and your heart. If we could realign that over time and rehabilitate that joint, we won't get the disc back, but what if we slowed down or stopped the decay? We prevent so much future suffering. Now you come in, and certainly there's days where you say, I'm not feeling any better. I completely get it. We're working on a 20-year project, and we're 3 months into it. You say, I'm feeling great. I say, no, don't stop care yet. We haven't corrected it. So when we're in the restoration or corrective care model of chiropractic, there's not a beginning and an end. There's a beginning of initial intensive care through corrective care, and then we enter maintenance care. But the weird thing is, patients command my neck hurts. Doctors say, oh, I'll fix that. And if I can't fix it in 10 visits, it can't be fixed. So they get rid of the pain, but did they fix the problem? They didn't. I'll tell you why, because we've got thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of pre and post x-rays that say no. People who go to chiropractors as needed have the same decay, have the same symptomatology as people who've never gone. That's pretty weird if you just spent $300,000 on education to make people feel better. So I think the most important thing I could share with you about the business of chiropractic is have a clear picture. If you're going to be a guy who masters pain removal, you also have to be the guy who masters bringing in people all the time, because when the pain's gone, they're gone. But if you're going to be a chiropractor who works on corrective care, it's pretty simple. It makes so much sense to me. I'm 56 years old. I had over 400 stitches. I had 18 broken bones. I played football and rugby in college. I absolutely know. I've been a patient for 41 years, and I hurt a little bit every day. If somebody would have said chiropractic gets rid of your pain, I'd have quit when I was 15, because it never did. But when I think about how good a shape my body is because of all the chiropractors that have served me, I'm honored to serve them. I'm honored to serve you and every future chiropractor. We have to have a model, a business model that creates something that people want. Everybody wants out of pain, but again, if I come to you and you do some magical adjustment, all my pain goes away, I flip you $1,000 and you never see me again. I come to you and you do a bunch of magical stuff and the pain doesn't go away. I have fight over my bill and I probably don't see you again. But if you say to me, this is where you are and this is where you can go, and it's taken you 30 years to get here, Baker, it could easily take a year to get here, and it'll take maintenance forever to keep you from getting worse, I'm your guy forever. Chiropractors, and no offense, I don't think we need to be entrepreneurs. I think we need to understand the business of chiropractic. And there's a business of chasing symptoms, and it's totally fine. There's a business of corrective care. And I got to tell you, when you come to a new beginning seminar, and students are always free, I've never charged a student, nor do we accept your money when you're out of school. We want to place you. We want you in the right place so you can learn for a year or two more. Then you're set. Don't, if you will, don't get excited about being an entrepreneur. You really haven't invented anything. You haven't brought anything new to the market. You're probably really not. None of us are entrepreneurs. What we are is we're lone wolves. And that's what makes chiropractic so unique. We got 30,000 plus licensed chiropractors out there. And I hate to tell this to the students, but admittedly, over 90% of them are barely making a living. And they come out of school with $20,000 student loans. What are the young people in your generation with 150 to 300,000 plus? They've got to understand the business model and the business of chiropractic, not the tricks of the trade, not the entrepreneurial stuff. Now, I was blessed. By the time I was 8 years in practice, I'd open up 10 satellites, taking young, excited, philosophical, scientific, artistic chiropractors and teaching them chiropractic. In the end of the 3 years, I pretty much gave them the clinics. So remember, it's in the Bible, Proverbs 11:24. One man gives freely and grows all the richer, while another withholds what he should give and only suffers want. Noah and everybody listening, give freely, but don't give it away for free. I promise it'll work.
You're the best, man. I love how you reframed that, entrepreneurship, because, my school's in the Bay Area, so everybody's talking about entrepreneurship, but I love how you came back to the heart of it, and you really explained that it's about being in integrity, and it's really about offering the best service and being able to explain to people what's going on. I mean, I know this analogy is pretty tired, but we take our cars in for an oil change, right? So why would we not expect that we need to do the same thing with our body in order to keep our bodies as fluid, as mobile, as healthy as we possibly can for as long as we possibly can? So thank you so much for reframing that for me and really helping me see that. Lastly, how can people get in touch with you? How can people find out about what you're doing and learn more about you?
Well, we've been a sort of a secretive group because we didn't want everybody there, but I've been heck bent on helping your school, a school out on the East Coast called Sherman, which I believe are the last two chiropractic schools. And that being said, I'm trying to save chiropractic. So we're real easy to get a hold of now. Our website is chiropractic chiropracticlifecoaching.com. Students are always invited to all my seminars, absolutely free. You'll never get solicited. We just gave a seminar Saturday in San Francisco. We give 5 next year. Well, we give 1 in December in San Francisco. Next year, we give 5 in San Francisco and 3 in Orlando. We're expanding out because of Sherman and because of Life West, because we want to support those schools. And I'd support any school that was teaching chiropractic. It's just I've only found 2 so far. My bias, sorry, but I got to tell you something. If you think for a minute that we're going to get rich and we're going to help a lot of people chasing symptoms on 12 visits or less, man, you bought into a bill of goods that I can't imagine. So get on chiropracticlifecoaching.com. Come to a seminar. If you're a practicing DC, first time ever, you come for free as my guest. I'd never charge you. You might not like me. And if you don't like me, leave and go enjoy San Francisco. It's a beautiful city. But if you do, I might be able to share some unbelievable stuff with you. On the West Coast, we're in San Francisco. On the East Coast, we're in Orlando. And all you got to do is get on chiropracticlifecoaching.com and you can reach us. Our family's called New Beginnings, Chiropractic and Life Coaching. Not to be confused with another group that formed the same year I did on the East Coast called New Beginnings. I've heard nothing but great things about them, but they are not doing what we're doing, and we're not doing what they're doing, but hopefully we're all doing something that's leading to the same place.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'll make sure to put the link to your website in the show notes for this particular interview. And thank you, Dr. Baker, for all investing in chiropractic. You've done so much, and I know that you'll continue to do so much more. And so thank you for sharing that with my audience. And I hope you like this video. Please consider subscribing to my channel, DC2B Revolution. And I look forward to curating another interview next week and sharing that with you. So stay tuned.
Right on. Anytime I can help you, it'd be my honor. Thank you.